Hello, and welcome back to Chasing Masculinity. Today, I want to talk about something that I think a lot of men who have committed to the gym will face at some point, and that is burnout. A lot of men begin their fitness journey with this surge of motivation. They start training hard, they push themselves aggressively, and they see these rapid results. And for a while, that intensity absolutely works. But eventually, when the excitement fades, the progress slows, and the gym begins to feel more like an obligation than a discipline, or maybe you've been working out for years and you've been through the ringer, but now the progress has stopped and it feels like an obligation rather than something fun or progressively achievable. The reality is, burnout usually doesn't happen because the gym is too difficult. It happens because the view of fitness is approached with the wrong mindset, and you have these unrealistic expectations. So, in this episode, I want to talk about why gym burnout happens, the common mistakes that lead men to quit, and then how to build a sustainable approach to training so that fitness becomes something that you can maintain for the rest of your life rather than something you abandoned after a few intense months or even years. I also want to talk about my current gym split right now. This has been working great for me for years now, and it's very much tailored towards my specific goals and my specific needs and workout schedule. So I think there are upsides and downsides to my current split, but this is by far my favorite that I've ever done. So with that, let's get into it. I want to start by talking about why so many men burn out in the gym. It happens so frequently. There are really two types of men who experience gym burnout. The first category is men who just started. There's been a surge of motivation. Something flipped the switch. Congratulations. That's a good thing. Celebrate that. Maybe he was tired of how he looked. He saw someone who inspired him. Life circumstances pushed him to make a change. Whatever it is. But that motivation is temporary. The discipline hasn't formed yet. You're just going off of motivation. And that's okay. But we'll get into that. The second category is kind of the opposite. It's the man who's been lifting for years. He already has the discipline. He's already built the habit. The progress has slowed now, though. The life responsibilities have grown. Maybe the time commitment, it just starts to feel heavy. Now, both types of burnout are real, but they come from very different places. Now, I want to focus on the first category first, and that's the early burnout. This is where most men are going to get burnout. This is your first, I would say, weed out of becoming an avid gym goer. Most men begin their fitness journey with this extreme motivation. It is the starter motor to the engine. You're going to go all in immediately. The typical pattern is they buy a gym membership. They commit to going 5 or 6 days a week. They overhaul their diet. They start consuming tons of fitness content. They push themselves extremely hard. Now, this happens for about 1 or 2 weeks, and then most men quit. I'm talking about someone who really does truly commit and has been doing it for a few months now. They've pushed past just the 1 week kind of stint, and they've been doing it for a few months. They truly think this is their new lifestyle. This early progress happens really quick. Beginner gains are a real thing. If you haven't lifted in a long time or never, and you're going to get into it, you're going to experience the most amount of gains right at the beginning. So utilize that well. Make sure that you're not kind of putting one foot in the water. You might as well go all in and get as many gains as you possibly can, because it's not going to be like that forever. Your strength is going to shoot up really quick. Your muscle is going to begin to appear really quickly. Your weight's just going to drop. And this creates this excitement and this reinforcement to keep going. But eventually, something is going to happen. The progress is going to slow. The body adapts. The fat loss slows down. You will start plateauing. That's a common thing. you will hit a plateau. And it's different for everybody based on your training style. It could be a few months in. I'm thinking 3 to 6 months is probably pretty typical when you're going to hit your first plateau. And sometimes you just can't out-train it. That's a different subject. But it is going to make the workouts start to feel really hard mentally. The pattern's going to shift. This is the common burnout pattern. New gym membership, aggressive training schedule, rapid early progress, plateau or fatigue, loss of motivation. Eventually, quitting and then disappearing for months. This happens to countless men every year, probably tens of thousands. There's a deeper issue. The problem necessarily isn't the gym. It's probably expectations. If you're going to start training and see fitness as this short-term transformation project, then you're only ever going to do fitness short-term. If you treat it like a challenge or a temporary phase, that's all it's ever going to be. Fitness doesn't work like that. Yes, you will be changing your style, so you can have a season of life for a particular fitness pattern, but fitness itself is not temporary. It's not a season of life. Fitness is not a short-term challenge. Fitness is a lifelong discipline. Training is not something you do for 6 months to fix your body. It's not like sending your car into the repair shop. Working out and physical health is not an auto body shop. It is an oil change. It's the regular maintenance to keep it going, not a one-time fix. It is something that you have to do for the rest of your life in order to maintain it. The goal of training is to not see how hard you can push yourself for 6 months. The goal is to still be showing up in 10, 20, or 30 years from now. Now, I want to shift to the second category. That would be the long-term lifters who are facing burnout. These are the people that have made it through. They know their way around the gym. They've been doing this for years. They've gotten past all the plateaus and all the different seasons of life. They're committed. But now, something different is happening. The obstacles begin to pile up. You started, let's say, lifting in high school or college. You were a high school athlete, or you just started getting into it in your 20s, whatever it is. And now you're in your 30s or 40s, and you've been doing it forever. You feel great, but life changes. Progress slows dramatically. Your strength is going to plateau. You've been through this before, but this one feels different. Your physique improvements become incremental or start reversing because you're just not adapting to your age. Recovery's taking a lot longer. You're getting more injuries. Work and family responsibilities are now competing with your gym time. For these men, the problem isn't motivation. The motivation's gone. They have the discipline to keep going. The problem is just discouragement. The progress that used to come quickly now comes really slowly. The time investment starts to feel really heavy. Now your warm-ups are 30 minutes just so you can get into the right weight, and you only have 60 minutes to get a workout done because you have a life. Progress is not a straight line. Every long-term lifter has gone through seasons like this. Fitness journeys always include peaks and valleys. Sometimes you're progressing rapidly. Sometimes you're simply maintaining what you're built. Sometimes you're deloading and you are actually going backwards for a little bit. Life forces you to scale back. This doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're human. You have to go through this. I don't know of anybody who's only had an upward scale in terms of their workout regimen for years on end. Now, I want to get behind the real causes of gym burnout. Burnout rarely comes from training itself. Burnout comes from how people approach training. There's overtraining. Many beginners believe that more is better. They assume the fastest way to progress is simply train harder and more often. And while there is some truth to that, if you are already adapted to the gym and your body's not going to shut itself down, but the body doesn't always work that way. Adaptation requires recovery. Lifting 6 days a week immediately probably isn't going to feel too great the next few days if you have never set foot in a gym before. I worked out with somebody who it was his first workout in a few years. He used to work out very regularly, but this was his first one in a while. And after one very intense chest day, his body shut down for about 3 days. He felt like he was physically sick. And then all of a sudden he was better again. It takes time to adapt. Don't jump into the deep end and expect that you're going to just come out okay if you're not used to that sort of intensity. You have to work your way up to it. Running high-intensity programs without experience was going to hurt. Maxing out frequently, that's going to hurt. doing excessive volume, if you're not used to it, you have to work your way up to these things incrementally. If you've never ran a mile before in your life, don't expect a 6-minute mile. You have to work towards it. Without any recovery, this fatigue is going to accumulate. Even if you can push past the first several days, eventually the body and mind are going to push back. You can only do it for so long. If you've never lifted, it's probably going to be within the first week or two where your body just shuts down. So you have to work in increments. And now for the experienced lifter, the people who have trained their body to be used to this sort of regimen, they've been pushing intensity for years. They've never done a proper deload. This is another common form of burnout. If you don't deload properly, you've never reduced your volume, you've never gone through a season of maintenance. Eventually, that accumulated fatigue will also catch up. Your joints are going to feel worse, and then your motivation is going to drop. Injuries aren't going to go away. Your strength stalls. I hate to say this, but if you haven't had a gym injury yet, it's going to happen. It will. And you have to deload, or that injury will stay with you for the rest of your life, and you'll never be able to lift heavier or do more beyond what you've already done. You're going to be basically fighting stagnation if you don't allow a deload and injuries to recover. Your joints are going to feel worse. Your strength is going to just completely stall. The nervous system just simply gets exhausted. Most serious strength programs include planned deloads for a reason. You have to listen to your body. Now, I'm not somebody who is a big advocate for switching up your program every 4 to 6 weeks or including a deload. I really don't deload. I also don't push myself too heavy. I see how I'm feeling. If I am feeling a little bit fatigued, I'm not going to do my heavy rep workout. I'm going to deload it and focus on lighter weights and more motion, more movement. Now, it's not to say I'm not going to push myself to complete fatigue and failure, but I'm not going to max out every single workout if I am not up to maxing out every single workout. There needs to be some sort of give and take. And that's just after years of knowing what my body needs and knowing what happens if I don't listen to it. Now, if you're not allowing those mini deloads or full deloads where you're deloading for weeks at a time, that could lead to issues. Dorian Gates says that he talks to lifters who just cannot get their PR above a certain value. He says, go take a week or two off. Don't even look at the gym for 2 weeks. And the body just needs time to recover. So if you're not building in those deload programs into your workout, it's going to come to an extreme where you have to just give it up completely for a while, which is obviously not the goal. And there's also unrealistic expectations. Social media has completely distorted people's views around and expectations around fitness. You're seeing these constant transformation photos and highlight reels of people at their absolute best, but you're rarely seeing the years behind those results or when they're not posting their physique because they're going through deloads or they're trying to bulk or what have you. These false beliefs are going to lead you to think that transformation happens in months and that strength should increase every single week and that physiques should only constantly improve. Plateaus means, well, something's going wrong. I'm not doing it right. I'm not training hard enough. Reality, progress slows dramatically after the first few years. Muscle gain becomes really slow and incremental. You have to work at it for years to just get the next few pounds added. This motivation becomes emotional. This discipline has to be structural because that motivation will eventually fade, and that's okay. Like I said, it's the starter motor. The discipline is the gasoline that actually keeps you going after the initial boost. If motivation is the initial thruster rockets that get you into orbit, they're going to fall off eventually on your space shuttle, which needs to have the additional boost and engines to get you to your final destination. That's your discipline. You need to have a twofold structure. If your training only ever depends on excitement, the moment it becomes routine, you're going to really struggle. But having discipline means the decision's already made. You go to the gym because that is what you do, not because you feel like it. You're not ego-driven. That's another common burnout trigger is ego. Lifting heavier than your body can safely handle or swinging the weights around aggressively. Now, I will swing my weights at the end of my workout to go past failure, but that's different. My body's used to it, and I can target specific muscles. If you're a beginner lifter lifting more than you should, it's pretty obvious. If you're swinging your weights on rep 1, then absolutely not. You should not be lifting that much. Your body cannot handle the weight. or you're constantly chasing personal records, or you're comparing yourself to others in the gym, you're measuring your progress only through numbers. If you are not a power lifter where numbers matter, why are you doing that regularly? I'm not saying you shouldn't. I haven't maxed out in years, and I wish I do need to just to see where I'm at. But that's not something you should be seeking every single workout unless you are literally training to be a power lifter. There needs to be a reason behind it. There needs to be an end goal if you're doing something like that, and most people are not. And all that's going to do is turn your training into pressure to perform. The gym becomes something you have to prove to yourself rather than something that you can actually help build you. The healthiest approach is viewing gym as like a practice. It's the training ground. You're practicing your strength. You're practicing your discipline. You're practicing your consistency and willingness to show up. The single most powerful shift that prevents gym burnout is long-term thinking. It's not short-term. It's not what am I going to look like tomorrow. It's the long-term goal. You're adopting this decades mindset. Your goal is not summer body. Your goal should be to be strong and capable for the rest of your life. You should be mobile and running around at 90 years old, 100 years old, whatever it is. You should not be reliant on others because of your immobility. It should be long-term. Strength at 40 matters more than strength and abs at 25. Mobility at 50 matters more than squatting more than you've ever squatted right now. When you start thinking in decades, your approach changes. You begin asking different questions instead of how hard can I push myself today? And again, I ask myself this question every single day, and it helps me. It motivates me. But to the degree that I know my body, I am not going to do something stupid that's going to demotivate me or injure me beyond what I can handle, and that just completely kicks me out of the gym. One gym injury can take you out for months. What a lack of progress. You will lose progress if you do something like that. Why would you willingly do that to yourself day after day at the gym? Put that risk on you. How hard can I push myself today in the context of I'm going to do something stupid is a bad question to ask. You have to ask, is what I'm going to do today going to be applicable in years from now? Can I keep doing this? Is this going to align with my long-term goals? Progress doesn't become dramatic then, because many men are going to quit when they think progress means this consistent, visible improvement. Sometimes progress just means you're not becoming old and fat. Progress can look different. You can improve your lifting form. You can recover faster between sessions. You can become more consistent week to week. You can avoid injuries. All of that is progress. You're maintaining strength through different seasons of life. That's progress. That's a sign of maturity in training. Now, I want to reflect for these long-term lifters. If you've been lifting for years, take a moment to just zoom out. Think about where you started. Think about all the strength that you've gained. Think about all the discipline you've built. Even if you're not in your best season right now, look back to the best season you had. There's no reason you can't do that again. You achieved that. Think of what it took for you to get there. Think about the setbacks that you've already overcome. This current plateau or frustration is another season, and maybe it's a really deep trough and it's going to be a really long journey to get out. But if you keep showing up, eventually it'll just become another chapter. And when you look back, you can see that's not the point where you stopped. That's the point that you overcame. It's just another peak and valley of your seasons of life that you go through, and you can look back and say, my discipline got me out of that. You need to learn to train through normal fatigue. Burnout is different from tiredness. Many people simply quit because it becomes routine. The early excitement fades. This is where discipline is going to replace your motivation. You need to accept the rhythm. Not every workout's going to feel great. Some days are average, or some days just feel really heavy. That's my least favorite feeling, is I show up and I finally get through my warm-up, or I have one or two of my warm-up sets left before I get into my heavy reps, and the last few warm-up sets feel real heavy. And that's really discouraging. Those days suck, and it happens a lot. Very rarely, once every few weeks when I'm hitting shoulders or whatever day I'm hitting, well, I pick up a weight and think, oh, I'm feeling good. This feels light. We're going big today. Usually, I'm picking up a weight, and I'm realizing, crap, what should be my last warm-up set is actually going to be my first heavy set. This is feeling really heavy. Or I'm not going to be able to compound 2 heavy lifts on top of this today. I'm doing one, and I got to go do some accessory muscles because this is a lot. That happens very frequently, more times than when I show up and I'm feeling really good about something. And the men who have lasted in the gym and have been around for a while understand this, that this is normal. They have a program and they avoid these random workouts and they follow a structured progression. These are all things that help reduce your decision fatigue and help you track your progress. And that way you can see your long-term improvement. And that is just only going to reinforce your consistency. And you can adjust your intensity on the day-to-day accordingly. Not every session needs to be maximal effort. I'm a big fan of training to failure. I know there's lots of different methods to go about it, like training 1 to 2 reps short of failure. I personally go to failure almost every single time, unless I'm doing a warm-up or planning on going to a heavier weight. But I'm still able to adjust that accordingly. I'm not going to push myself beyond what I know my body can do in that exact moment. And then I can rotate between the heavier days, the moderate days, or the days where, let's just say, I just got over a sickness, which seems to be happening every month now. I need to go with a lighter session. I'm just getting back into it. I need to go high volume, high intensity, get a really big pump, but leave it at that. I'm not going to have the strength to go heavy. So I need to focus on fatiguing and going to failure elsewhere. And then if you need to schedule your breaks intentionally. Take deload weeks or lighter months or active recovery periods. Do something that's going to allow this to be something that you can continue for the rest of your life. Breaks prevent forced burnout. Think of it this way. If you have to take a break, would you rather make that decision or would you rather your body makes that decision for you? Because you're going to have to take a break. It's not an if. So would you rather be the one to be in charge of that or would you rather your body shuts down or an injury makes you take a month off? Rather have it in your court and be the one that controls it. Now, I've talked about burnout and all of that for too long now. I want to talk about my current split. I like this. This is what I'm currently doing, and it's just something that has been working really well for me. I would call this a traditional bodybuilder split, maybe the golden days of the 80s bodybuilders. It's more in line with an old-fashioned style muscle building program. Now, I've tried many different splits. I've tried the push-pull. I've tried the full body, where you're doing chest and squats on the same day. I've tried doing chest and triceps, back and buys. I've tried doing splitting legs into quads and hams and calves. I've done a lot of different things. And it's all been through different seasons of life where there's been different requirements or I want to try something new, all that stuff. What I'm currently doing is my favorite. Again, it's the traditional bodybuilder split. So here is what my current split looks like. One day is chest. That's it. I will do 5 to 6 sets of chest workouts. Typically what I'll do is I'll do one heavy set and then I will do 4 other workouts that are supersets. So really it's 3 distinct workouts. I'm isolating, let's say, my dumbbell bench press, and then I'll go do 2 chest exercises as a superset and then 2 more exercises as a superset. And after my warm-up, I'll usually hit about 3 sets. That is typical for all of these. But day 1, I'm hitting chest and nothing but chest for 5 to 6 sets of, or 5 to 6 distinct workouts, 3 sets for each one. Then I do back. My next day is back. Only doing back, nothing else. And I will do traps with my back as well. Usually I do heavy barbell rows and I will superset that with shrugs, and sometimes I'll use the trap machine too, but it is a back day. Then I do arms. So I am training biceps, triceps. This is my only day where I'm training 2 muscles together. Biceps, triceps for 6 distinct workouts. I will always superset these. So I'm doing a tricep, bicep workout, superset. Then I do another bicep, tricep workout. Then I do another one. Then I do shoulder day. Again, nothing but shoulders. I'm hitting all 3 heads of the shoulder. I'll always do some sort of press, typically just a dumbbell press, but all 3 heads of the shoulder I'm hitting on one day. And that one, again, I'm doing either 5 or 6 distinct workouts. Then I do legs. This is my leg day. I'll always do squats if I can. Then I'll do some sort of secondary workout like Romanian deadlifts, hack squats, or I prefer the pendulum squat. Or if I'm feeling like I want to go heavy, I will do leg press. And then I'll always do my leg extension, leg curls, sometimes calves. But it's just a leg day, nothing else. This one I'm probably doing 4 distinct workouts, maybe 5 if I throw calves in there. And then what I used to do, and I had to deload because of some joint pain, is I did arms again. So it was a 6-day split. So it was chest, back, arms, shoulders, legs, arms. I was doing arms essentially twice a week. And that's because I wanted bigger arms. I did. I wanted to have bigger, stronger arms. And it worked. I doubled up on the week that I wanted to, the muscle group I wanted to prioritize, which was my arms. And yeah, I saw massive improvements. My arms got really big compared to what they were before. And I'm a really tall, lanky guy. I have a wingspan that's over 6'6", so it was really hard to build that muscle because I'm particularly lean, so it's not something that would just beef up naturally. And I'm getting some joint pain. I lift really heavy on my arms. I have the most strength in my arms right now. I would go toe-to-toe with a lot of bigger bodybuilders, honestly. But I had to scale back. It hurt my joints to do heavy triceps, so now I'm doing it about once a week. Every once in a while I'll do it twice a week, but once a week I'll do arms. So I used to have a 6-day split, prioritizing arms twice because I wanted to focus on that. Now I'm doing a 5-day split, just chest, back, arms, shoulders, legs. Starts over again. I don't have any particular days. I don't start chest on Monday no matter what. Whatever day I left off on, that's the day I do next. And that's it. I did legs yesterday. That means today it's a chest day. And I will work out every single day I can. I will work out 7 days a week if I have time, but usually there's about 1 or 2 days a week that I can't for whatever reason. Life gets in the way. Typically, it's about 6 days a week. And my rest day is not scheduled. It's whenever my schedule forces me to take a rest day. And that's just because that's my current season of life. I used to schedule rest days. It worked great. But if you are inconsistent in when you can go to the gym, that's how I allow my rest days to occur. Now, the benefits of this workout, complete muscle fatigue. If I am hitting back, my back is sore. If I'm hitting chest, my chest is sore. It is complete fatigue by the end of the workout. I'm usually doing some sort of flies at the end. Cable flies are my favorite. And I am completely pumping as much blood into that muscle group as I physically can and straining it as much as I can. Towards the end of my workout, I'm doing lighter, more just full contraction, full squeeze, getting as much blood in there as I can. Getting huge gym pumps because of it too. That's another benefit of this. You're getting really big gym pumps. Your muscle groups are going to be full of blood. So your chest after chest day looks huge. Your arms after an arm day look huge. Now there are downsides. My shoulders are usually a little bit sore, and my chest is really sore on shoulder days because of my residual chest days. I just did chest 2 days prior. So if I don't have any rest days in between there, which sometimes I do, that means my shoulders are a little bit more sore. Or my arms are real sore if I just did chest, back, then arms. I'm training my biceps and triceps on chest and back days. Not particularly, I'm not isolating them. I'm only doing isolatory workouts, but they're just residual soreness. So that's something I have to fight through. I have to be aware of that. On days where I have particularly sore forearms, I have to factor that in after having just done a back day as I'm going into arms. Maybe I have to focus on more workouts that are going to isolate the bicep only and not also forearms. Because I will train forearms specifically on arm days. But I have to dance around that a little bit, if you will. Because I am training a muscle group to complete failure, it takes longer for my body to recover. I've heard that it should be 2 to 3 days and then your body's ready. No, it takes a full week for me. That's why I do this. When I train to that level of intensity and I isolate a muscle group that much, I need about 5 days at least, sometimes a full week. On heavy leg days, I need about 8 to 9 days to recover fully because I don't know, that's just how my body works. If I have trained a really heavy leg day and then I need to do a light leg day the next week because I'm not fully recovered yet. So there are certainly downsides to this where you're going to get big soreness and I need to take longer recovery windows. Now, the legs is another downside. The legs are a very large group. Your entire lower body, your glutes, hams, quads, calves, everything, that only gets trained once a split. When I had a shoulder injury, I started training it twice a split. My legs got really big, and that was great. But most people only train legs once a split. That's all I'm doing as well. That's what I prefer. So very large muscle group only getting trained once, which means if you want really big legs, you're either going to have a really long leg day or you're just not going to be able to train to the intensity because you're having to train all these different parts compared to, let's say, chest, which has 2 muscle groups. You're training your quads, which have 4, and your hamstrings and your glutes and your calves. That's just a lot of training. And also it means if you're taking more than 1 day off, I'm hitting a body group less than once a week. When I was on my 6-day split, if I took 2 days off a week, that means my chest was 8 days apart, not 7. So that has to be factored into. It's something that really has to be done frequently. If you're taking more than a few days off, then that means you're probably going to have to start grouping some body parts together so you can hit them at a frequency that's not waiting a longer period of time in between groups. If your body's recovered, it's ready to be hit again. So if it's more than a week for me, that means I'm getting antsy and I need to hit that again. Now, this is what my current gym split is. I love it. It is exciting and it keeps me going back to the gym and it makes tracking really easy. I have not really had any interest in other splits right now because, again, this just gets me to the gym and I love seeing how much I can do. When I hit chest, it means my chest is ready to be hit and I can go heavy. And I really like that. And it's fun. Now, I'm building a home gym right now. So I'm curious how this split will change moving forward. So maybe I'll do a follow-up after I've done a home gym to see if that's the way to go, because I've heard a lot of great things about that. I'm just sick of public gyms, which is where I work out. So I'm curious if this split's going to change moving forward. But this is what I've been doing for years, and I love it. So after walking through all of that, after sharing my current split, the way I structure my own training, the main point I want to leave you with is the goal of fitness is not short-term intensity. It is longevity. Whether you're the guy who is just a few months into the gym and is feeling that early motivation start to fade, or you're somebody who's been training for years and it feels like progress has just slowed down way too much, the answer is not to quit. Don't make your fitness journey a season of life that you look back on. Make it something that you can do for the rest of your life. The answer is to zoom out and remember why you started in the first place. The strength, the health, the discipline, the longevity are built over decades, not months. The split I shared works well for me because it fits my schedule, my goals, the way I like to train. But the exact split that you follow is far less important than your ability to stay consistent. The best program is not the one that looks the most impressive on paper. It's the one that you can follow year after year without burning out. It's whatever gets you to the gym because that's the most important thing. Progress in the gym will always come in waves. There will be seasons where strength increases quickly. There will be seasons where it feels like nothing's changing at all, or that you're having to decrease weight because you just can't do it anymore. That's part of the process. The men who succeed long-term are not the ones who train the hardest for the shortest periods of time. It's the ones who keep showing up even after that progress has slowed and the excitement fades away. So if you are starting to feel burnt out right now, take a step back. Adjust your expectations. Adjust your training if you need to. Don't abandon this discipline that you're building entirely. The gym is not a place where you build muscle. It's a place where you're building consistency and resilience and the kind of habits that are eventually going to carry into every other area of your life. So keep showing up, keep putting in the work, and remember, real strength is built over time. So with that, thank you for tuning in, and until next time, guys, keep chasing masculinity. Before you go, I want to mention something briefly. If this podcast has been resonating with you, if the conversations around discipline, purpose, identity, and what it means to be a man today have been hitting close to home, then my book, 24 Rules of Masculinity, is officially out. It is a direct, practical guide built around the same principles we talk about here: biblical foundations, hard-earned lessons, and clear direction for men who want to live with intention instead of drifting. This isn't theory. It's meant to be picked up, applied, and just carried with you. So whether you're just starting to take ownership of your life or you're trying to realign and get it back on track, that's why I wrote it. You can find 24 Rules of Masculinity on Amazon or through the link in the description. If you do pick it up, I'd genuinely love to hear your thoughts. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.